You probably think you know what a big locomotive looks like. Maybe you've seen one in a museum. Maybe you've stood near the tracks as a freight train thundered past and felt the ground shake beneath your feet. But here's the truth. Most people have absolutely no idea just how massive American locomotives once became. These weren't just trains. They were moving skyscrapers of steel. Machines so powerful they reshaped mountains, bent railroads to their will, and pushed engineering to the edge of what was even possible at the time. And the craziest part is this. Some of the biggest American locomotives ever built barely get talked about today. You didn't learn about them in school. You don't see them trending online. Yet they once ruled the rails like mechanical giants. Today you're about to discover those forgotten monsters. And I promise you this. By the time you reach the end, you'll never look at a train the same way again. Imagine standing beside a rail line in the middle of the American Midwest during the 1940s. The air smells like coal smoke. The ground vibrates before you even see anything. Then suddenly, out of the distance, a black shape begins to emerge. It keeps getting bigger, and bigger, and bigger. This is Milwaukee Road 261, built in 1944, right in the middle of World War II. This locomotive was designed to do one thing better than almost anything else on rails. Go fast. And not just fast for its time. Fast by today's standards. This machine was created to haul long passenger trains across huge distances without slowing down. When it charged down the track, it didn't feel like a train approaching. It felt like a storm dart. The Milwaukee Road 261 was built for speed, but it wasn't fragile. It was heavy. Over 200 tons when paired with its tender. That's more than some modern building's worth of steel rolling on wheels. And yet this giant could cruise at speeds that shocked people who witnessed it. You have to remember, back then, highways weren't what they are today. Air travel wasn't common. For many Americans, this locomotive represented the fastest way to move across the country, and it delivered. People who rode behind it described the experience as smooth, powerful, almost unreal. The machine didn't struggle. It dominated. Today, this locomotive still runs. And when it does, crowds line up just to hear it breathe again. It was nearly scrapped, nearly forgotten, saved at the last moment by people who understood they were looking at history on wheels. But if you think that was big, the next one didn't just move people. It became a rolling piece of art. Picture, bright red and orange streaking past green hills along the west coast. The Southern Pacific 4449 wasn't just a locomotive. It was a statement. Built in 1941, this machine was meant to impress before it even moved an inch. Everything about it was designed to look fast, powerful, and modern. When it pulled the famous Daylight passenger trains, people didn't just travel. They experienced something unforgettable. This locomotive wasn't hiding its power. It showed it off proudly. What made the 4449 special wasn't just how it looked. It was what it could do. This massive steam machine could pull heavy passenger trains at speeds that rivaled early airplanes. Think about that. A steam locomotive burning coal and water, racing through California faster than most cars of the era could dream of going. People would stop what they were doing just to watch it pass. It became one of the most photographed locomotives in American history. And when steam was finally pushed aside, this one didn't disappear. It was brought back to lead the entire nation's bicentennial celebration. A train so powerful and beautiful that it symbolized the country itself. But beauty wasn't always the goal. Sometimes raw strength mattered more. Deep in the deserts and wide open spaces of the Southwest, Santa Fe 2926 was built to prove a point. This locomotive wasn't subtle. It was heavy, incredibly heavy. So heavy, in fact, that railroads had to reinforce tracks just so it could run safely. When fully loaded, this monster pushed past 400 tons. That's not just big, that's intimidating. Engineers who operated it knew they were handling something special. Something that demanded respect. Santa Fe 2926 was designed to move fast passenger trains across brutal terrain without hesitation. Heat, dust, long distances, none of it mattered. This locomotive just kept going. When it was finally retired, most people assumed its story was over. But decades later, something incredible happened. Volunteers decided to bring it back to life. Not quickly, not easily, over 20 years of work, thousands of hours. And when it finally moved under its own power again, people captured it on simple home cameras. That footage spread across the internet like wildfire. A giant from the 1940s waking up in the modern world. It felt almost unreal, and yet the next locomotive wasn't about passengers at all. It was about work. Hard work. Nickel Plate Road 765 was built to pull freight, heavy freight, fast. This machine didn't wear fancy paint. It didn't need to. Everything about it said one thing: reliability. Built in 1944, it became known for its balance. Powerful enough to hold massive loads, fast enough to keep schedules tight, strong enough to run day after day without complaint. Railroad workers trusted it. That trust mattered. When the 765 runs today, people often comment on its sound. It doesn't scream, it roars. A deep, rhythmic thunder that feels alive. It has crossed old bridges, hauled long trains, and proven again and again that steam wasn't just romantic. It was practical, even dangerous in its strength. And when you see it moving, you realize something important. These machines weren't built gently. They were built to last. But now, things start getting truly serious. Because the next locomotive represents the last breath of an era. Chesapeake in Ohio 614, known as the Greenbrier, arrived late in the steam age. Built in 1948, it carried everything engineers had learned into one final masterpiece. This locomotive wasn't just powerful. It was refined, smooth, efficient, designed to climb mountains while pulling heavy trains without help. When it worked, it made other locomotives look outdated overnight. Even after steam officially faded away, the Greenbrier came back, not as a museum piece, but as a test machine. Engineers wanted to see if steam could still compete. And shockingly, it did. Pulling long trains, climbing steep grades, proving that the old giant still had something to say. Today, it stands as a reminder that sometimes the end of an era isn't about failure. It's about change, and we're just getting started. Because the next locomotives don't just push limits. They shatter them. Asterisk, asterisk. Now, this is where everything changes. Because up until now, you've seen big locomotives, powerful ones, beautiful ones. But the next machine doesn't feel like a train at all. It feels like a legend that refuses to die. Union Pacific 844 isn't just famous, it's alive. Built in 1944, this locomotive holds a record no other major American steam engine can claim. It was never officially retired. Not once. While others were parked, scrapped, or forgotten, this machine kept moving. Decade after decade. Generation after generation. Imagine that for a moment. World War II ended. The Cold War began. Men landed on the moon. Computers took over the world. And through all of it, Union Pacific 844 kept running. Still breathing. Steam, still pulling trains. Still turning heads wherever it went. When you see it today, polished black with silver details shining in the sun, it doesn't look like something from the past. It looks proud, confident, like it knows it outlived everything that tried to replace it. The power behind the 844 is no joke either. This locomotive was built for speed and endurance. It could fly down the rails at over 100 miles per hour, pulling heavy passenger trains without hesitation. Railroad workers didn't just operate it, they respected it. Some even say they trusted it more than early diesel engines. And when it appears today, people gather by the thousands just to watch it pass. Not because they need to travel, but because they want to witness history still breathing. But if you think that's impressive, the next locomotive doesn't just move forward. It bends in the middle. Union Pacific Challenger 3985 was built to conquer mountains. Literally. The Rocky Mountains were a nightmare for railroads. Steep grades, sharp curves, thin air. Ordinary locomotives struggled. Some failed completely. So engineers came up with a radical idea. What if a locomotive could flex like an animal? What if it could be massive, yet still move smoothly through curves? The result was the Challenger. When you first see the 3985, it almost doesn't make sense. It's enormous. Over 120 feet long. And yet, it's articulated, meaning it moves in sections. This allowed it to pull insane amounts of freight over terrain that would stop other machines cold. The power output was staggering. Enough to haul long trains at speed through places where gravity fought back hard. For years, the 3985 was the largest operating steam locomotive in the world. Think about that, not just in America, on the entire planet. When it ran excursions decades later, people lined entire mountain passes just to see it. Some described the sound as thunder trapped inside steel. Others said watching it climb grades felt like witnessing something impossible. And it almost was, until something even bigger came along. But before we reach that point, there's another machine that many experts consider perfection on rails. Norfolk and Western 611 wasn't built by an outside company. It was built in-house, crafted by railroad engineers who knew exactly what they wanted. And what they wanted was the ultimate steam passenger locomotive. Built in 1950, right when diesel engines were taking over, the 611 arrived like a final statement. One last reminder of what steam could achieve if given everything. This locomotive wasn't just powerful. It was efficient, shockingly efficient. It could run faster than many diesel trains while using less fuel. That wasn't supposed to be possible, but it happened. Engineers measured it, timed it, tested it, and every time, the results shocked. People who thought steam was outdated. Visually, the 611 looks almost futuristic. Smooth lines, perfect proportions. A presence that feels intentional, not accidental. When it returned to service decades later, people didn't just watch it, they admired it. Some even called it the most beautiful steam locomotive ever built. And when it runs, it still feels modern, as if it belongs in every era at once. But now we leave elegance behind, because the next locomotive is about brute force. Western Maryland 1309 is not subtle. It doesn't pretend to be graceful. It exists for one reason: to pull, and pull hard. Built in 1949, this machine was designed for heavy freight through unforgiving mountain terrain. It wasn't fast. It didn't need to be. Its job was to move massive loads where others couldn't. When you look at the 1309, it feels almost prehistoric, like a steel creature split into two halves, connected by pure force. Its driving wheels are smaller, emphasizing strength over speed. And when it moves, it doesn't glide. It digs in. The sound it makes is deep, slow, and intimidating, like the earth itself is moving. For decades, this locomotive sat silent, rusting, forgotten by most of the world, until a group of people decided that something this powerful deserved another chance. The restoration took years, millions of dollars, and endless patience. When it finally moved again in 2021, it became one of the largest operational articulated steam locomotives on the planet. A freight monster reborn in a world of electronics and automation. Proof that raw mechanical power still captures the human imagination. And now there's only one left, because no matter how big, how fast, or how efficient the others were, there's one locomotive that stands above them all. Literally, Union Pacific. Big Boy 4014 doesn't just push limits. It erases them. Built during World War II, this machine was designed to solve a problem no one else could. How do you move unbelievably heavy freight across mountains without slowing down? The answer was simple and insane. Build the biggest steam locomotive ever. The Big Boy is almost impossible to fully understand until you stand next to it. Over 130 feet long, weighing more than 1 million pounds with its tender, wheels taller than most people, two sets of massive driving wheels working together like a single living machine. When it moves, it doesn't feel real. It feels like something from myth. During its working life, the Big Boy hauled freight trains so heavy that other locomotives would need help. This one didn't. It just went mile after mile, grade after grade, When it was retired, many believed it would never move again. The idea of restoring something this large felt impossible. But impossible didn't stop Union Pacific in one of the most ambitious restoration projects ever attempted. Big Boy 4014 was brought back to life. When it returned to the rails in 2019, the reaction was overwhelming. People drove for hours, some for days. Roads filled with cars just trying to keep up with it. Drones followed it. Live streams watched by millions. A steam locomotive built in the 1940s became a global event in the modern world. And when you see it run, you understand why. This isn't just a train. It's proof of what happens when human ambition meets engineering courage. A reminder that there was once a time when bigger wasn't the problem. It was the goal. And in the final part, we'll bring everything together. Because these machines weren't just built to move steel. They were built to move people, emotion, history, and the legacy they left behind is bigger than any locomotive ever built. ***, by now, you've probably noticed something important. These locomotives weren't built randomly. They were answers to problems, mountains that needed conquering, distances that felt endless, loads that seemed impossible to move. Each machine represented a moment when engineers refused to accept limits, and that mindset didn't just change railroads. It changed how America moved, worked, and grew. Think about what it meant back then to build something this large. There were no computer simulations, no advanced modeling software. Every decision came from experience, calculation, and sheer confidence. Mistakes weren't just expensive, they were dangerous. And yet, these locomotives worked. They didn't just work, they thrived. For decades. When you watch footage of these giants running today, there's something almost emotional about it. You're not just seeing machinery, you're seeing a moment in history that refuses to stay silent. The hiss of steam, the slow rotation of massive wheels, the way the ground vibrates as they pass. It all reminds you that progress once had a sound. And that sound was loud. What makes these locomotives even more impressive is that many of them outperformed early diesel engines. People often assume steam was replaced because it was weak or inefficient. That's not entirely true. Steam was replaced because diesel was easier to manage, cheaper to maintain, less demanding on crews. But in raw performance, these steam giants could match or even exceed what came after them: speed, power, endurance. They had it all. And that's why so many of them were saved, not because they were old, but because they were exceptional. Take Union Pacific 844 again. The reason it was never retired wasn't nostalgia, it was reliability. Railroad executives trusted it. Engineers trusted it. Crews trusted it. It delivered year after year. That kind of trust doesn't happen by accident. It's earned. The same goes for the Norfolk and Western 611. That locomotive was built at a time when steam was already being phased out. Yet it arrived so advanced that it forced people to rethink what steam could still achieve. Even today, experts study its design. Not because they want to rebuild it, but because they want to understand how something so large could be so refined. And then there's the Big Boy, a machine so extreme that even modern engineers pause when they look at its specifications. Everything about it pushes boundaries. The size, the weight, the power output. There's nothing casual about it. It exists because someone believed that bigger was not only possible, but necessary. But here's something most people don't think about. These locomotives weren't just machines, they were workplaces. Crews lived with them, learned their personalities, knew their sounds. An engineer could tell if something was wrong just by listening. A fireman knew exactly how much fuel to feed the fire without being told. These machines had habits, quirks, even moods according to the people who ran them. That connection is hard to imagine today. Modern trains are quiet, automated, controlled by computers and sensors. Efficient, yes, but distant. With steam, it was personal. You didn't just operate the locomotive, you partnered with it. And when something went wrong, you felt it immediately. That's why restorations matter so much. When Santa Fe 2926 returned, to life after decades of silence. It wasn't just a mechanical victory, it was emotional. Former railroad workers showed up just to see it move again. Some of them had run similar machines when they were young. Watching it breathe steam again brought back memories most people thought were gone forever. The same happened with Western Maryland 1309. People didn't donate money just to restore a train. They donated because it represented something real, something physical, something that required effort and commitment. In a world where everything feels temporary, these locomotives are the opposite. They were built to last, and the crowds prove it. Whenever one of these giants runs today, people come from everywhere. Families, historians, engineers, kids seeing steam for the first time. No one is checking their phone when a big boy passes by. No one is distracted. Everyone is watching. Because you can't look away from something that powerful. What's fascinating is how these machines still inspire modern engineering. Not because we want to copy them exactly, but because they remind us what's possible when creativity isn't limited by fear. These locomotives were risky, expensive, difficult, and yet they worked. They solved problems that mattered at the time, and that's the real legacy. These weren't vanity projects. They weren't built just to impress. They were built because the country needed them. Industries depended on them. Cities grew because of them. Supplies moved because of them. They carried war materials, food, people, hope, all on steel rails. When you think about it that way, it's no wonder people feel emotional when they see one today. You're not just seeing a machine. You're seeing the backbone of a nation that worked on. And here's something else that might surprise you. Many of these locomotives still outperform expectations today. Not in speed records or freight totals, but in reliability. When restored properly, they run smoothly, predictably, strongly. They don't feel fragile. They feel confident, like they're doing exactly what they were built to do. That's not nostalgia talking. That's engineering. Now think about how close we came to losing all of this. In the rush toward modernization, thousands of steam locomotives were scrapped, melted down, forgotten. If not for a handful of passionate people, these giants would exist only in photos. No stories, no sound, no motion, no presence. That's what makes the ones that survive so important. They are not just examples. They are witnesses to a time when progress was loud, heavy, and unapologetically bold. And as we move into the final part, there's one last question that ties everything together. Why do these machines still matter so much today? In a world of high-speed rail, electric trains, and automation, why does steam still stop people in their tracks? Asterisk, the reason these locomotives still matter isn't just because they're big or rare or old. They matter because they represent a time when ambition wasn't filtered through hesitation, when engineers were encouraged to push limits instead of avoid them. These machines weren't built by asking what was safe. They were built by asking what was possible. When you stand near one of these giants as it moves, you feel something modern machines don't give you. Presence. You hear the steam release. You feel the vibration through the ground. You see every moving part working together in real time. Nothing is hidden. Nothing is abstract. Power is visible. And that makes it unforgettable. That visibility creates connection. You can see how the energy is made, how it's controlled, how it's used. There's no mystery box, no silent process. It's raw cause and effect. Fire creates steam. Steam creates motion. Motion moves mountains of steel. That simplicity is powerful in a world filled with invisible systems. And that's why people who don't even care about trains stop to watch. It's also why these locomotives still dominate attention in the age of technology. Think about it. We live in a time of instant content, endless scrolling, constant noise. Yet a steam locomotive from the 1940s can stop traffic, fill hillsides with spectators, and hold people's attention for hours. That doesn't happen by accident. It happens because something about these machines feels honest. They don't pretend to be efficient in a digital way. They don't hide their effort. They show it. Every wheel turn, Every exhaust beat, every release of pressure. You can see the work being done. And people respect that dot when Big Boy 4014 returned to the rails. It wasn't just rail fans who showed up. It was everyone. Families who had never seen a steam engine. Kids who only knew trains from cartoons. Adults who remembered seeing steam as children. They all came together for the same reason. They wanted to feel something real, and they did. The same is true for every locomotive you've heard about today. From the elegance of the Southern Pacific 4449 to the raw strength of Western Maryland 1309. Each one represents a different answer to the same challenge. How do you move a nation forward? These machines did it by hauling freight that fed cities, by carrying passengers who built communities, by connecting places that once felt unreachable. They weren't just transportation. They were infrastructure with personality, and that personality is what keeps them alive in our memory. Think about how many modern machines will still be remembered in 80 years? How many will still run? How many will draw crowds just by existing? Not many. But these locomotives already proved they could outlive their own era. And they're still doing it. Another reason they matter is because they remind us that progress doesn't always mean replacement. Sometimes it means preservation. Understanding where we came from helps us decide where we're going. These locomotives show us that bold ideas can work, that taking risks can lead to greatness, that craftsmanship matters. Maybe that's the biggest lesson. These giants were built by people who took pride in their work, who expected machines to last, who believed in overbuilding rather than cutting corners. That mindset shaped everything from railroads to cities. And you can still feel it when these locomotives run. So now think back through everything you've just heard. The speed of the Milwaukee Road 261, the beauty of the Daylight 4449, the rebirth of Santa Fe 2926, the reliability of nickel plate 765, the refinement of the Greenbrier, the living legend of Union Pacific 844, the mounting conquering Challenger 3985, the perfection of the Norfolk and Western 611, the brute strength of Western Maryland 1309, and finally, the unmatched dominance of Big Boy 4014. Each one pushed boundaries in its own way. Each one told the world that steel, steam, and human determination could achieve the impossible. And here's the final truth. You didn't just learn about trains today. You learned about mindset, about what happens when people refuse to think small, when they build not for convenience, but for capability. So now I want to hear from you. Which of these locomotives surprised you the most? Which one did you not even know existed before today? And if you could stand in the cab of just one of them, as it thundered down the rails, which would you choose? Leave your answer in the comments. I read every single one, and if this journey through the biggest American locomotives ever built made you see railroads in a new way, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. That tells YouTube this kind of storytelling matters and helps more people discover the incredible machines that shaped our world. New videos are coming, exploring the most extreme machines ever built on land, sea, air, and rails. Machines that pushed limits, broke rules, and changed history. Until then, remember this. Sometimes, the biggest stories aren't hidden in the future. They're waiting on the tracks of the past.